Hey, baby, it's Bonnie Duchong, and this is Bonnie's Eye, where we have great conversations with interesting people. And today we have DeVon Franklin, I have here his whole bio and everything. This man is the president and CEO of Franklin Entertainment. He does a whole bunch of stuff on TV. He is the driving force behind some of Hollywood's most successful inspirational films, including Breakthrough and Miracles from Heaven, as well as a couple of films that we're going to be talking about as we go along, because I want to hear about it from his voice. Oprah Winfrey, or as my grandmother would say, Okra, said that he is a different kind of spiritual teacher. And I'm telling you, once I listened to his his book on Audible Originals called "It Takes a Woman," I can see exactly what she was talking about. Hey, DeVon Franklin, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Bonnie?
I am doing well. I'm doing really well. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm a reader. I like to thumb through and do the dog ears and stuff.
Yep.
I finally got a Kindle because I was traveling so much I couldn't carry all the books.
Right.
My niece is a audio book listener, so she's the one that's trying to get me. Bonnie, you need to listen. You need to listen.
Bonnie. Yeah.
When I listened via Audible Original to It Takes a Woman, I see what she was saying,
Mm,
exactly what she was saying.
yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to explain to everybody why you wrote this book.
Yeah. I wrote this book. One, because I, had a meeting with Audible and we were really interested in doing something together. But two, I wanted to acknowledge and bring awareness to the Black women, in my family and in our culture and community that sometimes are unsung heroes. And, they do so much for who we ultimately become, especially as men. And we don't do enough to honor them and give them a moment in the spotlight. And so, doing this book, it's called "It Takes a Woman," and really allowing the voices of my mother and my five great aunts, five great living aunts, to be heard. The youngest is 75, the oldest is 95. I wanted to make sure that their voices were preserved, they weren't lost in the sands of time, as a way to really memorialize the impact that Black women have had for generations on our families and our communities.
When I was listening to it, well, when I read about it before I listened to it, the first thing that came to my mind, which I'm sure a lot of people are saying, that how can a woman raise a boy past the age of 12 to be a man? And your father passed early
Yeah,
on
I was
in
9
his
years
life,
old.
right? And so, that was the first thing that really came to my mind. I was like, well, how could, and I know it's done all the time, but it always seems like there are those things that a woman just can't relate to, that a man is growing up to be. But you changed my mind when I
Mhm.
listened to your Audible. So let's give some background on who you are as far as growing up and your background there.
Yeah, I'm a middle child of three boys. I'm from.
I'm a middle child.
Oh, wow, we got our support group, right? You know how it is. Us middle children, we got to fight for our place.
You got it.
Are you middle child of three girls or a boy and a
I'm a middle child I have a sister that's older and a brother that's younger.
Ah, I see. I see. Got it. Well, yeah, middle child, of three boys, grew up in, Oakland, California, Richmond, California, East Bay. And, always knew that, I wanted to go into Hollywood. And then, my father, died when I was 9 years old, and leaving my mother to be a single mother. And my mother, her mother, my grandmother, had seven sisters, and my great aunts. And so my mother really involved my grandmother and my grandmother's seven sisters in our lives quite heavily. We had men in our lives. We had my grandfather who was there, and one of my uncles, Pastor DJ, who was the pastor of the church. But it was really the women that were really the consistent caretaker, so to speak, of me and my brothers, which is why I wanted to write about this and put this book into the world.
Well, the thing is too, when you listen to it, everybody, and I really wish that you would, and even have your sons listen to it,
Yeah.
because it all wasn't peaches and cream. I
No.
mean, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I was raised by these people, these women, and everything was hunky dory. It was hard for you.
Yeah, very hard, very difficult. And when you've listened to it, so in the book I really get into the details of those difficulties. And what's cool about this book is that it's really engineered for the audio experience. This is not a book that was like written and then I'm reading it. It's like, no, every choice that was made and how I put this book together was with the listener in mind. So it's almost like you put it on and you're just taken into this world and the story of my family, and how this tragedy of my father's death became like a pebble in the water. And there were all these ripple effects. And so you get a chance to be involved and invested in the experience of these different ripples and hearing the different stories of what my aunts have gone through, what my mother went through. And as families, we don't talk enough. I believe that transparency leads to transformation. And so I really wanted this book to be my most transparent, my most honest, as a way to really reach people and share our truth with them.
The one thing that drew me into the book, because like I said, I like to read the book. So when I said, okay, I'm going to listen to the Audible part, and I was expecting that monotone of
Mm,
how some books are.
yeah,
What grabbed me was hearing the actual voices
yeah,
of your mother and your aunts, and feeling their emotions,
yeah.
and feeling, because everybody, they don't hold back. They're not reading. It's they're responding, and you can actually feel it. Was it hard to get them to relax enough to talk like that?
It wasn't hard. I mean, I did individual interviews with my mom and my five great aunts. And to start the interview as an icebreaker, I read them the introduction that I had already written, and them hearing me talk about my perspective of my father's death. It was the first time that they had heard that. They didn't know that I had that memory. So as I'm reading them the introduction, all six of them just started to cry because it brought them back to where they were. So my transparency then opened up their transparency. And what you hear was on some level was very easy, in that it was free flowing. And so once those interviews were done, I then took those interviews and the transcription of those interviews and then rewrote the whole book and really started to put the whole book together.
Well, you did a fabulous job on that. I'm telling you, because the things that stick out with me is to hear you interact with your mom during the section of, and I'm going to mess it up, you don't know who I am
Oh yeah, if you don't know me by now.
if you don't know me by now. Right. And when I was listening to that, I could I could feel your angst and your anger, but lost. It was almost like you were lost with it. And I then hearing your mother talk about it,
Mhm.
I mean, it just went to my heart. How was it for you? I mean, I
Yeah.
know going through it, but also understanding when you got to the other side of it.
Yeah, it was cathartic. I mean, this was the first time my mother and I had ever discussed that moment. I didn't even know if she remembered that moment. So me asking her if she remembered me telling her that for those that are listening, there was a moment when I was a teenager and me and my mother got into an argument, and I just lashed out at her and said, "You don't know anything about me." And she said, "Well, at least I kept you." And so, I didn't know what that meant. And I remember she was really crying and she was deeply upset. And, we just kind of went on about our lives and never talked about it. And so, when doing this book, what you hear is the first time that we talked about it. And I asked her, "Do you even remember this?" And she said, not only does she remember it, but it haunts her every day.
Wow.
And as for a mother who was doing everything she could to maybe not have done, all that she thought she was doing, it just cut her to the core. And then what I talk about in the book is I do a whole, as you know, like I explain what she meant when she says, "At least I kept you."
Mhm.
And that then dovetails into her story. And what she meant was that my grandmother did not raise my mother until my mother was like 12, 13 years old. So my mother was raised with my great grandmother for the first 12, 13 years of her life. And as a result, she felt abandoned. She felt like she wasn't wanted by my grandmother. She, even though she was never adopted, she felt sometimes how those that are adopted can feel.
Mhm.
And so her pledge when she got older and had children was that she was never going to give them up, that nobody was ever going to raise them. And so for her, that was success. So as long as no one else is raising my children, then I have succeeded. And so for me as her child to say, no, you haven't, it was devastating to her. And our ability to talk about it and really sort through it for the first time really produced a lot of healing. It was very cathartic. I'm glad that we did it, and the listener gets a chance to hear for themselves, as you have heard, how it all plays out.
And it will grab you, everybody. It will grab you, because my mind first went to, here is this woman who has three sons. Her husband's dead at 36, and she's got to mourn him but take care of the kids, and so she kind of locks herself away in order to do that. But in comes your great aunts, and each one of them have a totally different personality
Yeah,
and sound and point in your life.
that's right.
Which one would you say, I don't want to say made the most impact in your life, but which one would you say was your go-to aunt?
You know what? Aunt Donna. Aunt Donna is like my second mom. I talk about her in the book. I talk about her story with her daughter, and me being kind of her only surrogate son. I don't include my other brothers. I'm a own Aunt Donna for myself. So yeah, Aunt Donna is the one that I really, out of all of them, I have a great relationship with all of them. Outside of my mother, Aunt Donna is deemed my second mom.
I had to laugh about the sex talks.
I know.
And
Ooh, boy.
you hear it from their voices, y'all.
Yes,
So it comes at you. They ain't playing either.
they ain't playing.
They
They
ain't
ain't playing.
playing. When they first set you down, whoever was first that set you down to give you the sex talk, what was your whole response to that?
As a kid, I just listened. I just listened and I took notes. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
I'm telling you, because that was a good laughing point for me, because my mom told me about sex, and we crack up about this all the time. We were looking
Mhm.
at a soap opera. One of the girls in the soap opera got pregnant. Mama turned to me and said, "You get with a boy, that's what's going to happen to you." That was my sex talk.
Wow, just like that. That's it. There
Just
you
like that.
go.
Boom.
See you
But
later. I told you all you needed to know.
your aunts taught you how to look at a woman,
Yeah,
pleasure a woman,
yeah,
think about a woman,
absolutely. All of
and did you take it to heart?
without a doubt. Every lesson. I'm like, hey, okay, this is what they said. Okay, let's do that. you know,
When you got to the end of the book, what was your, and you look back on it, what was that moment for you?
just the accomplishment and the achievement of it. I mean, I just put it down with a sense of pride that one, I could do something to memorialize and canonize my family. And this is a legacy, book. I mean, even, when we're no longer here, people can listen to this and it will be eternal on some level. And, it was very difficult to try to take a life experience and put it into a cohesive story that someone can listen to beginning, middle, and end. And I felt very pleased and very proud that I was able to do this. And the thing that really makes me proud is that my mother is 70, the youngest aunt is 75, the oldest aunt is 95. And usually, as you get to the end of life, you look in the rear view for
Mhm.
what you've already done and you look back and say, oh, all that was great. for this has given them almost a new lease on life. They to be able to participate in it, to be able to do the video shoot, the photo shoot, to do press. They feel like their entire lives now they're getting their flowers, they're getting validated, they're getting appreciated in a way they never thought was possible. So that makes me feel good. You know, it's great for me to be able to do it, but it's really about them feeling a little bit of what they've given to me. So all the value and validation I feel because of them, I now want them to feel because of this project. And it's great to be able to give women in our culture, in our community, our Black women who we take so much from, to give back to them.
And you do it so well, so well. And let's take, because now, I mean, you go through this, everybody, when you're listening to it, you go through his life. So you go through that kiss, the last kiss for his father,
Yeah.
all the way to, you know, where he is now. And you I know they're all so proud of little DeVon, because you are really doing great things. So let's talk about, real quickly before we go, your new inspirational films that you're doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know, I mean, I have a couple films that I'm working on that are in development. I have another one in post production. The new piece of content I have, in addition to the book that's getting ready to come out, is a new TV series that comes out May 19th with BET Plus. It's called Kingdom Business, and it's basically empire set in the world of gospel music.
Oh,
And let me tell you, it is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, when you see this series, Yolanda Adams and Soraya and Michael Beach and Michael Jai White and Kirk Franklin. I mean, Kirk Franklin is also an executive producer with me, along with Dr. Holly Carter. I mean, there is so much in this that I'm just excited for people to see it.
I can't wait to see it. I really can't
Oh,
wait.
you're gonna love it.
I
You are
know I am.
absolutely gonna love it. And it's on BET Plus. And let me tell you, the drama, this it's like there's romance, there's um uh how do you put it? There's like a murder mystery, you
Yeah.
know, that gets set up in the first episode. And people that have already, you know, we've done a little sneak previews here and there. People they can't believe it. They're like, "Whoa, this is our new favorite show."
And it's on BET.
It's on BET Plus. BET Plus.
Okay. So, and it starts May 19th, you said?
May 19th. May 19th in the evening. You know, I don't, you know, with streaming, they just drop it. So they say May 19th. I think it's like 7:30 at night or something like that.
So it's going to be one of those that I wish, okay, give me the second episode, but I'm going to have to wait for the second episode because I got to get the first episode. Okay.
Right. Exactly. So when you see it though, I promise you, you're going to be like, wait a minute, y'all, we need more than 8 episodes.
Well, I tell you what, for your next thing, you know, I have my degree in theater. So if you ever need the dead tree in the corner in the back, think about me. Okay. Got it?
I love it. I got you. We're gonna do it.
All
We're
right,
gonna do
DeVon.
it.
Everybody, I want you to go to Audible Originals because I want you to hear the voices and hear the emotion and hear everything of this. And it takes a woman. And thank you for bringing us all in and making us a part of your village.
Oh,
Because
thank you.
once you hear it, you just feel like you're a part of you.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for that, Bonnie. It makes me feel good. Thank you for listening to it. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about it.
Thank you so much, DeVon.
You're welcome. God bless.